Bowman here from BWOne.com, and now that we know what's coming with the new PlayStation 4, what's the Microsoft Xbox 720 going to come with? So Sony finally let the cat out of the bag about the PlayStation 4. We know all the specs and everything that's coming with that for the most part. So now we can sort of take some of the rumors that we know about the new Xbox. We're going to call it Xbox 720 for now since it doesn't have an official name, and sort of see what we know that's concrete about the PS4 and sort of put that together to sort of come up with a kind of a good idea of what the next version of the Xbox is going to come out with. So let's first kind of start off here with specs. We rumored specs for the Xbox 720. We know it's supposed to come with a 1.6 gigahertz 8-core processor. It's supposed to have about 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM inside, and it's supposed to have an AMD GPU clocked at about 800 megahertz. Now these three specs here make sense, and it's probably pretty accurate because it's very close to the specs that are in the PlayStation 4 already, with the same sort of 8-core processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM inside of it, although the RAM speeds are a little bit different there, and an AMD GPU inside of it. Makes sense because it's probably more developers requesting similar hardware platforms to make it much easier to develop games, especially with the cross-platform games. You'll be able to develop the game be able to easily make it and work very well. It's probably going to save time and money to be able to do that. Maybe it'll make the games a little bit cheaper. Kind of doubt that, but it makes it just a lot easier for developers to make games, and hopefully the games will come out a little bit faster that way. So I believe in that regard, those specs are probably very, very accurate. Now some of the other specs here we can speculate a little bit more on. The Blu-ray drive is supposed to be with it. It's supposed to come with a Blu-ray drive that supports up to 50 gigabyte disc. That does make sense, especially if they're going to be making next-gen games with better graphics on it. It's going to need that storage space because you know 8 gigabytes isn't going to be able to do it anymore. You're really going to need that 15, 25, 50 gigabytes of storage space to really take advantage and really make some very good content games, and some games that are going to have a lot of depth to them and a lot of good graphics with it. So that makes sense for that to show up on there. Also, I've kind of heard a little bit about the hard drive storage with it. It's supposed to be anywhere from 500 gigabytes to maybe 1 terabyte. That might happen. The only way I could see that really working is if the Blu-ray drive remains true that they're going to do that. You're going to want to install these games, and these games are going to take a lot of space, so it makes sense that you're going to need something like 500 or a terabyte of space to be able to store these games. Also, if the Xbox gets any type of DVR functionality with it in the new one, that also makes sense to have this as well too. But they're also going to be pushing their content for you to download HD movies and music and things like that right onto the console. So the storage option, 500 gigabytes, I could see that. I don't know about 1 terabyte, but we'll see with that. Built-in Wi-Fi and Gigabit Ethernet makes sense there. 3D TV and gaming support. That makes sense for that to show up now, since there's plenty of 3D TVs out there. Not a lot of people have them, but it makes sense to have that in there for future-proofing, especially 3D TV content coming out and games that are going to want to support 3D gaming with this. So I could see that coming in there with it. 4K resolution, possibly. Now that I can only really see that happening if they're really going to make these games take advantage of 4K. Not a lot of 4K TVs are now. I could see it's something that they have support for, but maybe it doesn't work right away, and a firmware update once more 4K TVs come out allows that to sort of happen. Could see that coming, but that's a little fishy with that one. Now, some other specs where that Kinect was going to be sort of built into the console, but we've already heard some other specs where the Kinect 2.0 is supposed to come out, be a standalone product, and support USB 3.0, which makes sense. The console most likely will have USB 3.0 as well too. It's going to allow it to push more data so that Kinect camera could be much more accurate and very, very, very fast response time. So I could see that coming through that way. That makes a lot of sense there for it to be separate, and USB 3.0 ports on the new Xbox 720. Now, another rumor that's been going around for a while is the whole fact of possibly sort of banning used games, where when a person buys a new game, they once they install it or start playing the game for the first time, it's going to register to their Xbox Live account, and that game will no longer work on any other console that's not logged in with that Xbox account. The worry about that is that's going to kill sort of the used game market and such, and the game developers are sort of really worried about piracy, so they're trying to stop piracy this way by rumored to be doing something like this. truthfully, like I've said in a past video, the physical media is what's really killing. The death of physical media is what's really going to be killing off sort of used games. People are digitally downloading things these days, and really, truthfully, when's the last time you probably bought a music CD versus downloading it from the iTunes or Google Play Store, wherever you grab music for, or maybe you just stream your music. You know, Netflix is very popular for streaming video these days, so it's not very often people are buying Blu-rays and DVDs like that. These items are still being purchased, but much less and less, so that's probably what's going to be killing the used game market more than this. But if they really want to sort of stop piracy, it's really going to be pushing the whole digital download sort of movement with it, and getting people to want to download these games and really figuring out the bandwidth issues and getting the games to be sort of as small as they can be but keep the same graphics, so that they can download to a console very easily and very smoothly. So we'll see with that, and it's going to be much more PR friendly to be able to do it that way, rather than trying to lock the game down when somebody buys it this day and they can't use it any other way. I think that's not going to happen on this generation. I really think they're just going to wait for physical media to be really at a point where it's sort of gone, and at that point I think then that's when they'll worry about digital downloading, which then you're not really going to have a used market, and then really you're not going to have to worry about piracy, because everybody's just pretty much downloading it straight from the source itself. But then again, there's always a way that people figure out a way to pirate everything, so it won't be fully solid, but at least it'll be a lot lower than what it is. But I don't see that necessarily happening without really a bad revolt from gamers and fans, but we'll see the way that goes. But for right now, that's sort of my thoughts on the Xbox 720. I think it's going to be a very powerful system. I think it's going to be very home entertainment focused as well too. I think it's going to have some great games on it and have some great content with it as well too, and will be a very good competitor to the PlayStation 4, and the Wii U that's currently out right now. So share your thoughts below on what you think about this. Share them right here in the comments of this video. I also go a little bit more in depth about this in my article on this at BWOne.com. You can check the link in the description for that, and to read a little bit more, and also comment there as well too. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page here. Connect with us on all the other social networks. Links to that, of course, are in the description. And always remember to live your tech world in high definition.